Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this debate. Today, we will want to clarify one thing before we start this debate. We do not know what happened exactly 400 years ago. We cannot go back in history and know exactly every single detail. But what we do know are several facts that we are going to argue about. Who has the historical claim over the islands, according to what we do know, and who has the legitimate historical claim over the island, one that taken correctly and not by any kind of wrong way. And the second thing our second line of the case is going to be the citizens and how exactly they are going to be affected, and if they are going to be affected, why they are not as a major factor as the historical claim. Well, let's begin. Today we're going to feature to 3 points. First of all, the historical claim, as we just said, was explained to you about it. Second of all, the principle of territorial integrity, and how exactly Argentina should be the owner of the island because of the unjustified way that Britain currently hold it. And the third speaker is going to go out by the third speaker, second speaker, sorry, and it's going to be about the citizens and their part of the story. Well, let's begin with our first point, the historical claim. Well, because we don't know 100% as I told you before, we believe that Argentina should be the true owner of the island, should be the country that rules the island, because of 4 reasons. First of all, Britain left the island, ladies and gentlemen. Britain came to the island in this point or another, and 4 years later, only 4 years after starting the colony, they've left because of some kind of economical crisis. This economical crisis showed us 2 things. First of all, that they have left. Second of all, that they quit after the stuff got a bit rush, after stuff got a bit rush, and they simply did not have the love for the island as the other country. Second of all, they came back only 60 years later. We believe, we in proposition believe that 60 years is just way too much time of having no connection to the location, and yet still wanting to conquer it back and be the true owner, the legitimate owner of the island. In this 60 years, Spain has developed a permanent colony. This colony lived there and actually was Spanish and later on even Argentinian. And basically, we see this non-legitimate and not a true reason why Britain should come back to the island 60 years later after a permanent colony was already there. The second reason, the second aspect of the historical claim is that the Argentinian gained their independence. We had Argentina somewhere around here, and we have the Falkland just about near it. No one was in the Falkland while Argentina got their independence. But the last owner of the Falklands was Spain. The Argentinian people fought for their freedom, fought for their country. And after they gained their independence from Spain, it was kind of obvious that the Falklands is the closest country. They are the closest one to the Falklands. The Argentinian also got the island. This is why we believe it's in proposition, because it's 2 reasons. First of all, the distance, why because of the distance, they are the only Latin American country that should be the ruler of the island. And second of all, why it is theirs. Yes.
When you're talking about the colony, I think you're confusing it a bit with Spain, because Spain actually had possession of that colony, but Argentina just claimed that they were a part of Spain and that they owned it.
This is exactly what I said. Where the Falklands, there was no colony in the Falklands. Those are the facts. No colony was in the Falklands while Argentina got their independence. This is exactly why. Well, you have a point, a place where no one was in there, but the last ruler was Spain, and Argentina was the nearest country. And once Argentina got their independence, it was kind of obvious that the Falklands are also a part of Argentina. And this is exactly why we believe that not only they are the only Latin American country that deserve the Falklands, they are the only country that deserve the Falklands, and not Britain as well. The third aspect of the point is that Britain came to conquer the land. In 1833, Britain actually came to the Falklands back with a huge navy of ships, of battleships. They took the territory with force, and we want to ask you to first of all, why exactly the place that is supposedly yours, you should come with big power, with big guns, and actually take it with force? Second of all, the other thing we want to emphasize is back in the days, back in 1833, the latest style, the reason, a reason that is acceptable in our times and does not condemn in any way. And this is why Britain should not be the ruler of the island, and Argentina does. The last aspect of this point is basically Argentina had a permanent colony on the island. They has basically been in the problems throughout the entire time until they were forcibly banished over the island. After they were forcibly basically thrown out of their own island, their own land, the land that they lived in for quite a long time. And basically, this is another aspect that we believe in proposition that it is not good enough to take country with force, that they should take it with dignity, with a reason that is good enough, and not just who has the bigger guns. We want a more reliable, more reasonable argument from Britain to be the controller of that. Moving on to my second point, the principle of territorial integrity. Ladies and gentlemen, we have two start points in this point, basically. First of all, Argentina gave up on the island once Britain came to conquer it. Well, two things about it. Ladies and gentlemen, once a whole navy of ships, big, very, very big ships, come to your land, which is constructed mainly by officials and those kind of people, they basically is unreasonable for them to fight.
So you say that Argentina gave it up without force, but aren't you aware that later on, and I know this is later on, that there was a Falkland Wars and Argentina did try to get the Falkland Wars?
Yes, we will get to that later, but I will just mention that first. Well, basically what we said that Britain came to take this country with force, and it was just unreasonable from Argentina to actually put up the fight. Well, two things regarding to your points now. First of all, is that once Britain was in the island, they had some military force. It was reasonable for Britain to fight and actually take the land and fight for their country. This is something that Argentina didn't have. Another factor is going to come just in a second. The second thing is that basically the point where Britain, this is our second aspect of the point, Britain came to this island to conquer it in 1833. In 1833, it was just about a few years after that, when a few years after Argentina gained their independence. They were entirely in this mess of being a new country, needs to know itself and control itself correctly and manage themselves, building their own facilities, how they're going to manage their country. We see Britain as using this opportunity as basically conquering the land in a legitimate way that basically came the wrong way in the wrong time, and this is another thing that Argentina didn't have and didn't do as opposed to Britain. But today we have shown you 2 points. First of all, the historical claim says why Britain left the island. Second of all, how Argentina gained independence, and by this it's obvious that it was there. Thank you very much.
I call upon the first member of side opposition to open the opposition case.
My opponent starts this down by admitting that we cannot know for 100% certainty what happened so many years ago. We can't know with 100% certainty who does something belong to, we weren't there. And that is something that throughout the debate we must keep in mind. There are many conflicting sides and many factors to this story, and that both countries do feel that they have a legitimate claim. So today what we're going to talk about is why it is not Argentina who had that legitimate claim, it is Britain. But keeping in mind that there are 2 sides to this story, and that there's not so much a right or wrong answer as to the history of it, like my opponent said, but so the right or wrong answer is going to be now what, given what's happened in the past, now what's that thing to do. We're going to talk about really what do we do in the future, really regardless of the past. So getting to very first component. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to first repeat my opponent's case, then I'm going to introduce my own case to you. We have 3 main arguments for today. Our first argument is that returning the Falkland Islands to Argentina is violating self-determination. Our second is that really this is just Argentina's right to get a new colony. And our third contention, which our second speaker will bring up, is that Argentina is not ready to have the Falkland Islands. So now on to my opponent's case. Now, my opponents talk about the history of the Falkland Islands, and what we must realize is that England did get to the Falkland Islands first. According to Miss Magazine, the islands were discovered by an English navigator, John Davis, in 1962, and then also they were explored by another Englishman in 1690. And then they were later taken by the French. At one point they were Spain, but Argentina got on the given very late in the Falkland Islands. All the point.
So does that mean that America belongs to Spain now because Spain got to America first?
Okay, and we can talk about that. But what we have to realize is that it's ultimately that the people who are in this area do want to be part of Britain. They do not want to be part of Argentina. The people in America didn't want to be part of Spain, didn't want to be part of England, and they fought a war over it. But the people of the Falkland Islands actually do want to be Falkland Islanders. So this is a complete different story. See, what we're saying, we're agreeing that maybe you being there first doesn't give you saying you're in charge, right? But the fact that the people there want to be part of a certain country really is a reason. And it's not clear who was there first. Like my opponent said, we can't tell the history, but when we do look to the history, England was there first. And it's not clear, what I'm saying is that it's not clear who should have it. That's an issue, and it's a debatable issue as to who was legitimately the first people there or was England. So that's the point. And so we realize that, which is that my opponents claim that there's historical reasons why Argentina should have it, but there are many more historical reasons why Britain should have it, which is that Britain was there first, that it was Britain, that Argentina at one point did declare war on the Falkland Islands and was very aggressive in that matter. So you see that there are a lot of reasons why this island should belong to English historically. So my opponent's next point is that they talk about territorial integrity, and they're saying that it's wrong that Britain used force to take this island. But what we have to realize is that Argentina has tried to use force, again, to get the island back. So both countries have tried to use force. So we have to really not use this point and realize that there's been force on both sides. And my opponent's saying it should be returned, but they don't think how it should be returned. And ultimately there will probably have to be force again to get Britain to return it from Argentina. So we see that this force issue isn't so much of an issue in this debate, which is that the fact that force will be used in this debate and not both sides will be forced. So the fact that force was used is not a reason why either country should have it. So let's talk about why England should get this island. When we realize that both countries have historical claims, Will Britain does have more historical claims than that they were there first, and that they are still there today. And we've concluded that there really isn't a territorial integrity. So let's go move on to my next case. So first of all, we talk about self-determination. So the people in the Falkland Islands do want to be British. They want to be British. They are British. They are 90% British ancestry, and they do want to be British. And I have a quote here from their member of the legal court. And it says, "We certainly have no desire to be ruled by any government invading this line. In fact, that is immediately obvious to anyone who has visited the island or heard our views," said Gavin Short, the chairman of the Falkland Islands. And we see anytime they vote on it, they've always said they'd like to be British. Yes.
According to surveys, the Falklandiers don't have a solid opinion. They always change it. 1 month they say they want to be Argentinian, the other say they want to be British.
Okay, I'd like to see the source on that survey because I frankly question its validity. When they vote, which they have done several times, they have voted to be British. And when they've spoken, they have spoken saying that they want to be British. And the people there do want to be British, and they are actually British and of British descent. And it's wrong to say they have to be Argentinian when they are actually living people who are there on the island today and want to be part of British. So now the next part we're going to talk about today is that really Argentina wants a colony. And that's what this boils down to, which is that Argentina, colonialism is defined by the Oxford English Dictionary as the policy or practice of acquiring full or partial political control over another country. And we see that that's what Argentina is trying to do today. They're trying to get control over Britain. Britain was there first, the native people who are there are now British. Now, Argentina is trying to go and say, we want a colony, we are taking it. And that is what Argentina would be doing if they got the Falkland Islands, which is that they would be, not at this time, getting a colony for themselves. They feel maybe sad that they don't, not at this time, maybe they feel sad that they didn't get a colony, and so they're trying to take this one. They're saying they're making up a historical claim. They're saying that they were there, even though it's clear that England was there first. And they're trying to take it over and have it be there, and that's a colony. Now, if we as the world are saying it should be returned to them, then we are forwarding colonialism. We are saying colonialism can still happen. Now, I realize that people are saying that what Britain did was colonialism, but the bottom line is that there were not indigenous people people there were Britain got there. Britain took something that was not inhabited by anyone. So it's not colonialism when it took it over. There was not a country there, so it is not colonialism. Not at this time. So it would be colonialism when Argentina if Argentina were to take it over. And also, it would also be a form of appeasement, which the Argentina has been very angry and very upset and they're saying we want this colony. If we give them this colony, we're showing that being angry and being upset and demanding a colony gets you a colony. We are appeasing Argentina. And that has been very dangerous in the past. We don't know what they're going to want next and what other countries are going to want next. Can you say, well, we were historically there at some point, maybe not, anyway we want it, and we're going to fight about it, and we're going to argue until we get it back. That's the principle we would be advocating if we were to give the Falklands to Argentina. Now, ultimately, the resolution today does say return the Falkland Islands to Argentina, but what we have to realize is that the islands originally were British, and they were only for a very small time in history, are part of Argentina. So the majority of the time they were British. So we would not be returning the islands to Argentina. We would be taking the islands from Britain and giving them to Argentina. And we cannot allow this today. The British were the first people there when no one else was there. And if we are to say, the Argentina's main claim to them was that when Spain gave them, Argentina is saying that Spain gave up the Falkland Islands. But Argentina does not have a right to say that Spain gave them the Falkland Islands because Spain never had the right to give them the Falkland Islands. So the Falkland Islands were British. They belonged to Britain. It's British. And so Spain doesn't have a right to give a country to Argentina, but frankly, no one has a right to give a country to another country. This country that did belong to Britain, the people that are British, and countries are not cakes. We don't toss them around. We can't trade. If you want a cake, I can't give it to you if this place belongs to a certain country, and it does. These people are British, and they cannot be traded like a leftover sandwich. They are British, and they must remain British.
Ladies and gentlemen, I came, I saw, I conquered. This is what the opposition team is telling you today. That if we come and conquer this island, it means that it belongs to us. It means that we own this island. And this is an Italian quote by Julius Caesar. But regardless of that, we can be 100% sure, again, who the island really belongs to. Very well, some facts that we don't know if it actually happened or not. But there are some things that we are absolutely sure about that. And that's what we are going to tell you today. So first I would like to talk about what the opposition team said, and then I'll talk to you about my point, which is the inhabitants, the citizens, basically. So first, let's see what the opposition team said. They told us that the island is full of Falklanders, and because we are British, we want to be British, so it's great, yay. But what they forgot to mention is that once they conquered this island from Argentina, they brought all these people from Britain to there. So this is not a decision, this is not a fair decision, since it's already obvious to whom they are going to vote. And let's look at this, and I'll explain this in my analogy at my point. Now, another thing that they said is that we also use military force. So first, it wasn't actually about the military force because we had a little problem in our state. There was a dictator, but we already has this problem. And the second one, you took this island from us. You were the first to conquer it from us. You were the first to take it in power from us. And what we basically done is to take this island back, and we want it to happen. Now, so basically, they also said that this is not colonialism, just like in other cases which we had, like India and Australia. But actually, it kind of does, since basically Argentina lived after Britain left. But we also need to remember the fact that they already left this place. They just left after, and remember to come after 60 years, like it still belongs to them. Why is that? Because they left and they will come. But well, there was no note for that. We didn't know that they didn't show us any sign that basically they are going to return or something. They just said, okay, we have this problem, we are going to leave. But we didn't mention that we are going to return. We didn't say that it's good. If you care for something, if you want something to belong to you, you won't leave it for 6 years and then remember to return. This is not. This shows that you didn't have any permanent colony in this place. This shows that you take only when you wish for something, but you don't take it when you don't take it because you actually understand that this belongs to you. But Argentina, unlike Britain, proved that they made a permanent colony in there. They stayed there. They stayed there for 50 years. And then Britain came and said, okay, now we're conquering this land. This means that it belongs to us. Yes.
Hi, thank you. So you've brought up reasons why you feel it shouldn't be Britain. You're saying that you understand that Britain was there first, but that's not a reason for it to be Britain. You say you understand that the people there are British and want to be British, but you say that that's not a reason for it to be British. Why should it be Argentina?
Well, what you need to understand is that the fight was between Spain and Britain. So British basically left because they didn't want to stay there at that moment. But Spain left and they gave them independence to Argentina. They gave them the lands, and we can see that from the fact that if they tell them, okay, now we're giving you independence, it means that we are giving you those lands. So basically, the Argentinian people can see the Falkland, which are now abandoned by anyone like Spain and Britain. This can belong to us. Yes.
Thank you. Why do you feel that Spain had a right to give the Falklands to Argentina? What was the reason?
Well, they were the last one to stay there because Britain just left because they had their problems. They didn't want even to stay. If they did want to stay, they at least left one person or more to stay there to show us that there are some people who are still living there. But no, they just left. They are just thinking that the world belongs to them. But if we leave, then it's okay because when we will return, it will belong to us. But no. On the other hand, Spain gave independence to Argentina, and basically by that they gave them those lands. Now I would like to move on to my point, which is the inhabitants. So basically, let's see. There are two things about those inhabitants. First of them is, why do they want to vote for Britain? Basically, they want to vote for being Britain because they already came from Britain. And now I want to give you an analogy. You have two parents, you have a family which consists of 2 parents and a child. And these 2 parents got a divorce. And the mother is taking the child and leaving the city. And the father is searching after this child, but he only found after 5 until 10 years. And then he wants to take the child back. And then the mother says, okay, let's ask the child what he actually wants. And so then she comes to the child. So child, who do you want to live? With the father or with the mother? So basically, it's completely obvious that he will say that he would like to be with the mother since he was with her in this last 150 years because he already took him in power. So basically, I'm taking this right from him, and this is not the first situation in anything. Yes.
So you say the British are all on the Falkland Islands. Doesn't that just prove that their self-determination is valid because they all live on the islands? They all want to be British?
Well, I will show you in my point that they can still remain British, but we also have an Argentina identity. So now moving to the second point of this. So basically, let's look about Argentina. Argentina is now known as a dual development democratic country. They can still leave those British people in the option of having a Britain identity, but they'll also be in the hands of the Argentinian people and Argentine state. And there is no problem being with them because we already showed you that they are developing a very good development output. They are already a very good state which is a very democratic country. So there is no problem of them being in this state. They have no problem with that. And let's talk about cities like New York or London. They are have the culture of many people from many states. And we have no problem that people live each with the other and it's all nice and it's all good. So basically there is completely no problem of being under the Argentinian state. So basically what I've told you today is that we only claim for the land by the opposition team is that we conquered this island and now it belongs to us. But the fact is that they took it in power. They just conquer it and say, okay, now it belongs to us. Why? Because we conquered. In fact, the land is something good. I'm David Post-Vintage.
Whenever you're ready.
I came, I saw that there were no people here and this island was free to take, and then I conquered. This is the view that the British took when they saw the Falkland Islands. They saw that there was no one there, that these islands were up for grabs, and they were the ones that conquered it. Now first I would like to clarify this background, clarify the history so that you two, Mrs. Speakers, that you guys understand what is actually happening in this debate, because I feel like it's been bobbing around and kind of unclear. So, the Falkland Islands were discovered by the British, firstly, stated by my first speaker, by John Davis. And then the Spanish and then the British left. And then the Spanish colonized the Falklands. And then the Spanish left from the Falklands. And then the British colonized the Falklands. And then in 1833, Argentina tested the waters to see if Britain was still involved with the Falklands and to see if Britain was still there, to see if Britain still liked the Falklands. And in fact, they did. For the British fought back. They fought back for the Falklands, and they fought back, and this resulted in the Falkland Islands War in 1833. And currently, there have been 3 referendum votes from the people of the Falkland Islands, and they have voted to stay with the British. And I will refute their point about why the people on the island being all British just makes them vote for the British anyways. So today I will bring up one point of contention, but firstly, I would like to refute their points. Now, firstly, on their points. Firstly, I'd like to point out that they did not bring up a way in which we're going to give the islands back to Argentina. So, are we going to are we going to kick the British people off? Are we going to keep the British people in and allow the Argentinians to harass them until they leave? How are we going to implement this? And this just results in more conflict that we do not want today. And then on their first argument, they said that Argentina has a historical claim to the islands. Now, what I would like, now let me quote what the second speaker stated. He stated that this fight was between Spain and Britain. Now, this is extremely contradictory because they said that this fight was between Argentina and Britain, and they said that Argentina was the one that they claimed to it first, and then the British fought against the Argentinians. But then they said again that it was Spanish and British. So we have to agree. So we say that they agree that it was the Spanish, and we agree that it was the Spanish, not the Argentinians. And the Argentinians were just tagging along with these powerful Spanish that were able to actually fight back against the British and actually wanted the Falklands, unlike the Argentinians, who are just tagging along and who are using this as a political strategy to distract their people, as I will explain in the third point. Now, on their second point, that they said that Britain just brought big ships in and they colonized, and they fought against the Argentinians, and this is bad. Well, firstly, it was a British colony when the Argentinians started testing the waters and saying that they wanted the Falkland Islands. So the British were justified in fighting back when the Argentinians said, oh, it's ours, and the British people can leave, and just because we said so, it's ours. But that's not correct. Now, also the proposition team today hasn't really shown us why Argentina Argentina needs this island and wants this island really so much more than the British. The British have put their people on the island, they've put their people to work on the island, and they definitely want it. Whereas the Argentinians, all they've done is they've used this as political strategies, I will explain, to distract the people, and they've used this not like the British. They've not taken advantage of this opportunity. The Argentinians could have been the first ones to colonize, but they didn't. It was the British. So now I'd like to go on to my point. That it is a political strategy. Yes? Okay. So now the third point. It's a political strategy to wave attention away from important domestic issues. The first invasion of the Falklands was to keep focus away from the dictatorship government in Argentina. This was to get attention away from the economic failures of the current president and to set the president up for her husband to win the next presidential election. This means this debate is not about colonialism. This is a political trick and saber rattling to hide a real political agenda of the Argentinian president. And this Argentinian president is corrupt. This Argentinian president has demonstrated in propaganda that initiatives relating to the Las Malvinas that this president is definitely corrupt. Now, firstly, I would like to tell you why this president is corrupt. This president has been convicted for scandals in higher inflation, capital flight, declining investor confidence, and ongoing indebtedness. So this president is corrupt, firstly. And secondly, that this president is using this as a political strategy. Yes?
This president is long gone. He is now not in charge. There is a now real democratic government there. I don't understand what he has to do with any of this.
I'm talking about the woman president who is currently in charge. I'm talking about Kirchner, who is currently in charge of Kirchner is currently in charge of Argentina. So I'm talking about currently. And currently, every school must have a classroom named after a person who was killed in the Falklands War. And currently, every student in every classroom has to recite a song about the dead soldiers from the Falklands War. While all this corruption is going on, while all this debt is piling up. So we can see that Argentinians, firstly, are definitely not interested in the Falklands, but rather using this as a strategy to distract their people, as a strategy to set it up for the next election, to distract the people away from the fact that there are actual true problems in Argentina that they need to be focusing on, such as the economic problems and the political problems that are there staying. So in this debate, really, the proposition team has presented arguments about how Argentina had a historical claim, which we have refuted and we have shown as does not stand, because Argentina, in fact, did not have the historical claim, and Britain, in fact, did have the historical claim. And they brought up the argument of that Britain is attacking this Argentinian colony, when in fact this is a British colony, not an Argentinian colony. Whereas we've brought up why this colony should be British, and we've brought up why Argentina taking this colony away from the British would be a worse type of colonialism. This would be a modern-day colonialism. And this would be unfair and unjust just because they want to distract away from the problems in their country. And I'd also like to bring up that the proposition team did not respond very clearly to the point about how this is modern-day colonialism. They have not responded to the point why Argentina is so justified to be able to kick the British people off this island, to take away their rights to freedom, and to put in their own Argentinian people. They have not said how it's going to benefit the Argentinian people. They have not stated what are the motives for Argentina to keep this island and what are the motives for Argentina to get this island. Whereas we've demonstrated that the British clearly want this island, that the British were the first ones to conquer this island, and that the British currently do have people on the island working. They have people making their job. They have people living their lives there. And we do not want to uproot their lives and throw them back into Britain just because Argentina said so, just because Argentina stuck their foot in the ground and said so. So today this debate really comes down to whether the proposition proves that Argentina is truly justified in uprooting these people's lives, and if the opposition today proves that they're definitely not, and that the British in fact did have a historical claim, and that the British in fact were the ones that first came in, and the British were in fact the true owners. So we argue today that the British are the ones that truly want the Falklands, whereas the Argentinians are just tagging along. The Argentinians are using this as a tool, and this is completely unfair. And this is why we stand strongly opposed.
facts than what we have. And according to Wikipedia, I will show you exactly why Argentina owns these islands, why Argentina had the first permanent colony, had the first real need of these islands, and has the first and only real right and claim for these islands. Ladies and gentlemen, today I see that we have three main areas of clash. The first one is the historical claim, the second is the people, and the third one is Argentina's wish. Let me begin by telling you a few facts. Ladies and gentlemen, how did we find the Falkland Islands? We're not certain who found them first, and even if we are certain, that does not really matter. If Spain found America, America does not belong to Spain. It belongs to the first person who settled there, the first person who actually made a permanent colony, the first country which really wants these lands, which really used these lands and had a permanent colony, not just a flag, and did not just see them. That does not count as enough of a reason. So the first two countries which came together were Spain and Britain. And just a second, they came together, they had the first colonies, not aware of each other, and eventually Britain left. We do not know why, we do not care. Britain left, they had no permanent colony. Yes, please.
Thank you. So you said a country does not belong to the government that sends the people there, but actually to the people who go there. What about the people who actually live there, not just the British people who live there?
No, we believe that a country belongs to. We believe that the Falkland Islands would have belonged to Britain if Britain really had a permanent colony there, if they had the first permanent colony, which they did not have, and I think which was made by Argentina, which was then removed, that we just follow up, which was then removed from these lands, and now wants them back, wants the rightful land back. Now let's continue with the fact. Spain eventually left, gave Argentina independence, and Argentina rightfully assumed that the islands, which are not far away from them, who were ruled by Spain, the last governors, they took the islands to themselves. They had a colony there, a permanent colony, a colony which was intended to be permanent. But then the British came with a huge navy, a huge army, and they banished the Argentinians, and now we are debating about this motion. Now, tell me please, why does having a huge army give you a claim over the lands? Why does bringing a huge army and destroying a colony which was made by the Argentinian people, and banishing them gives you a right for the land? We believe that a claim could only be made if you use these lands properly, if you had a permanent colony, and if you had intended to use them, you wanted these lands, and Argentina fulfills all of these criteria. So basically, according to history, which is very, very messy, Argentina is the one who possesses these lands, the one who should be possessing them, but sadly Britain just came, kicked them out, and now think that they have a right, although they do not have a permanent settlement. That is very, very sad. We should be winning this area of clash because Britain has no claim, has no right. The second area of clash is the people and their right to self-determination. Now, let's see. The opposition told us today that the people want to be British. Now, first of all, their choice is completely not rational. They do not know what they're doing. They only have experienced Britain. They might not know that Argentina is a wonderful country and is now democratic. No, thank you. And the bad president is long, long gone. And no, thank you. So basically, they have no rational choice. They should not be choosing on this matter. But even if they have a rational choice, there is no damage to them. Let's just make the Falkland Islands Argentinian. What happens now? They don't die. No, thank you. They don't lose their right to self-determination. They can keep their citizenship, British citizenship, and if they want to move to Britain, we're not stopping them. They have the right to self-determination. But let's say the right is completely violated, even if, it's not violated, but let's say even if it is, it's not as important as giving a country the land it deserves. Millions of people want this land and deserve this land because they were the first ones to use it. And basically, it's far more important that we give them their land, their rightful possession, rather than keep some 3,000 people there and consider them more important than a few million. So basically, in this area of clash, we believe that the people's choice is non-rational. It does not. They are not aware of both sides. They have only experienced Britain. They do not know what Argentina has to offer. There is no damage to them, not at all. They'll just remain British, and Argentina wants a big deal. And the third thing we believe is it's much more important that they get this land rather than stay that Argentina get this land rather than suffer and that these people, 3,000 people, ruin their day and entire possession. Now the third area of clash is Argentina's wish. Why does Argentina want this land? Simply because it owned it. The first speaker told us, the first opposition speaker gave us the great analogy of the cake. Argentina owned this cake. They left, Britain owned this cake. They left it. They didn't want it. Argentina took this cake. It was their cake. And suddenly, Britain comes with a gun and points it at Argentina, telling them to leave and saying, no, this is not my cake. I did not want it. I did not possess it. It was Spain that possessed it. But still, this is my cake. That does not work that way, ladies and gentlemen. Argentina is the clear owner of these lands, and they want them back. That is why their wish. That is what they wish. Not only do they want their rightful land back, their rightful territory back, they also want the oil and the resources found there. It will give us it will give Argentina much greater benefits than it would to Britain. No, thank you.
I think so. You're talking about how there are natural resources there that Argentina owns. That is a prime example of what happens when people colonize it as a natural resource and they want it. How is that different from taking something over because it has resources and you want it? Isn't that colonized?
Argentina owned this land before it was even, before they even knew that there were resources there. They did not colonize this land. They are not neo-colonists, I guess. They are the rightful owners, and Britain is the one who is colonizing this and is now using this land. Argentina deserved this to have this land, and the immense amount of oil found there will definitely help them. Now, the second speaker of the opposition team also told us about how there was a president and how the entire rightful possession of their land is a big setup and a big conspiracy. But this president is long gone. We have a new president, and she is much more tolerant. She does not cover anything up. She has nothing to hide. She wants her land back. She wants her country's land back. The country with the land which she has owned throughout the years. No, thank you. Now to conclude my case, I present to you the three main areas of clash. I have proven to you how Argentina is the rightful owner of these lands throughout history, how they should be owning this land, how the people are not very harmed, and how their opinion and possible damage is not very relevant considering the big damages we have right now. And the third area of clash was Argentina's will and a wish for these lands, and it's completely justified. Thank you very much.
This debate is about the good of the Falkland Islanders. Whatever decision we choose to make in this debate, or even in the real world, then it will affect how the Falkland Islanders choose their way of life. The proposition's argument causes way too much trouble, and the Argentinians have no right to claim the Colombia's Falklands, as we have constantly proven through our case. All of our arguments today on the opposition stand for the purpose of the people on these islands. So the first of which was neo-colonialism, the idea that Argentina is also doing colonialism by trying to reconquer these islands. And then second, this idea of the principle of self-determination. And third, that this is just a political strategy to wave attention away for the fact that Argentina is frankly just not ready for to own another land such as the Falkland Islands. So the thing we need to answer is these two questions. Who has the historical claim over the Malvinas Falklands, as obviously has been a big issue in this debate? And second, what is the best situation we can give to the people on the Falkland Islands? So the first question, who has the historical claim over the Malvinas Falklands? And the answer to that question is the British. Now the proposition says that the Argentina are the true owners of the islands. First of all, that's not true, because our first speaker has already given evidence that the British first had the islands. And second, even if it was true that the Argentina Argentina were the true owners of the Falkland Islands, this does not erase the fact that the people choose to remain British. It's still there. Right now, the people want to remain British. Therefore, they should be allowed, through the principle of self-determination, to remain British if they so choose to. Now, yes?
How can this land belong to you if you left for over 60 years?
Well, here's the thing, though. Argentina may have had the islands for that long, although it's not even true because we have not heard a reliable source from the proposition of this evidence. However, even if this was true, again, I have to repeat that it does not erase the fact that the people right now, not in the past, right now, want to remain British. Therefore, they should. No, thank you. Continuing on with my case, the proposition says that the British left the islands and Argentina stepped in for 60 years. Well, the British used force to remove Argentines. However, the force cannot be used as a factor in this debate because Argentina also tried to use force in the Falkland War in 1982. Both sides are guilty of using force. However, the question is, can we get this negotiation to work without force? And the proposition has not responded to this, so thank you. However, even if the British didn't first discover the islands, what makes it Argentina, as my first speaker pointed out in a POI? What makes it Argentina? There's no connection. 90% of the people on the islands are British citizens. They want to remain British citizens. And there's no Argentine ancestral connection that the proposition has pointed out. And the proposition still has not responded to this. So let's move on to the second question that we need to answer. What is the best for these people on the Falkland Islands? Because ultimately, the decision that is made in this motion could decide what their fate is, how they're going to live, whether they're Argentine, whether they're British. Now, the proposition has asked, what is the difference between having British rule and having Argentine ruling the islands? Well, here's the difference. As my second speaker has pointed out in our third point, that the Argentinian government is frankly just not ready. Democracy takes decades and even more to develop to a full extent. We see this in America. We see this in Britain. It took forever to get the democracy to be stable. And Argentina has not been a democracy very long. It hasn't even been a democracy for a decade. How can we have proof that Argentina is a stable democracy right now? They came out of a military dictatorship that was long-living. And we cannot say, the proposition has not given any evidence to say that the Argentina is ready for this kind of responsibility. Now, the fact is that the people need to be able to choose what they want to do, and this comes in with our principle of self-determination, as the opposition has constantly been stressing. 90% of the people are British, and they have constantly chosen to be British since 1833, when sovereignty was reestablished to Britain. And frankly, it's just not right to say that it should be Argentine. The Falkland Islands should be Argentine when the people don't even want to be Argentine. That makes no sense. So we see here that the best for the people who live on the islands is to go with what they want, to go with the purpose of the government that they live upon, which is democracy, in which they can choose what they want to do with their lives. They can choose who they want to be governed by. So thank you. Therefore, what has the opposition shown you today? We have shown you that self-determination overrules anything that the proposition can bring today, because they have not responded to the fact that the British have a historical claim over the Falkland Islands, and they have not responded to the fact that we cannot remove the British without using a manner of force, and we do not need to do this. Yes?
You know, again, this is irrational decision because just like you mentioned, they are British people, so basically they will vote for Britain and not for Argentina, and this is not their decision.
Why? It's the people who live on the Falkland Islands. It's their decision. And besides, as I have said in my speech already, the Argentines don't have much connection to the Falklands anymore. So therefore, we should not say that because something happened in the past, we have to do something now in the present, when the present is really what matters here. So we cannot say that it belongs to Argentina when obviously the people don't want to be Argentine, and because they have not proven any historical claim over it in ancestral connections or any reliable sources in their evidence. So the theme for the opposition's case is self-determination, that we should be following the principles of democracy, which they live under right now, and therefore they should be able to choose what they want in who they want to be governed. So what I've done in my speech today is I have answered these two questions that are thematic towards the opposition. I have answered that who has historical claim over the Malvinas Falklands, and that is the British. And what is the best for the Malvinas Falklands people who live on the island, who are directly affected by the decision that is made in this debate in the real world. And that is also the British. Therefore, the opposition still stands strongly to oppose. Thank you.
Okay, I call upon the reply speaker from the opposition to close the opposition case.
Right. So I feel like there's a lot of loose ends in this one. What we're going to try to do is we're going to tie them up and show what is true and what isn't true. So what's important today when we're figuring out should Argentina be returned, and we're questioning the use of the word return, by the way, because it's not really returning when it really was originally written, so we weren't giving. Should that happen? And so what we have to think about is, well, what makes something yours? What makes something yours and whose does it belong to? So I feel the 2 points that we need to talk about today is what makes something yours and what makes something stealing. And what I'm going to prove to you and show throughout this debate and reflected on this debate that when Argentina is trying to take this island, it is in fact taking, it is in fact stealing, it is in fact colony. And when Britain does in fact own it, it is in Britain. So that's what I'm going to try to explain when we go over what makes something yours and when we go over what makes something taken. So we've talked about throughout the night what makes something yours. And my opponents have brought up that Argentina has historical claims to the island and what makes something Argentina. But we see that Britain in fact does have more historical claims, the fact that they were there first and that they have managed this colony since 1833 after a battle that they had. And so we see that it in fact has been Britain's historical claim why it really was Britain. And the claim that Argentina has is that Britain left it, then Spain was there, then Spain gave it to Argentina. But we see that Spain, it wasn't Spain's to give. When someone leaves something alone and maybe doesn't touch it, you can't take it and then give it to someone else. It is still theirs. You still have possession over it, even if you're not at every moment asserting the fact that it's yours. And so we see that it was Britain. Britain was there first. Britain was the original owner when no one else was there. And therefore, Argentina can't just say that Britain gave it to them and everyone's ours. Now, my opponents say, when we asked them more about this, they said that what makes something yours is the fact that you have an established colony there. And they've mentioned that. They said, had Britain had an established colony, it would have been there. So what we see today, currently, Britain does have an established colony right there on the Falkland Islands. It's not really a colony, but it's a town that exists on the Falkland Islands, and that is Britain within a town. It's not Argentina. And so by their logic, they say, had Britain made up a town there, it would have been Britain. Britain did, in fact, make up a town there, and those people do feel very strongly that they are Falkland Islanders, meaning that they are British. Now, because Falkland is the term that Britain would use, whereas Malvinas is the term that Argentina would use. Now, my opponents say that those people aren't making a rational choice. They are British, so naturally they want to be British. Well, my opponent there is proving what we're saying, which is those people there are British. Therefore, when they have an established colony, that's our point, those people are British. And they can look at the world, they are grown-ups, and they can see though that things going on in the world, and they can decide who they really want to be part of. And they can see really the bad things going on in Argentina, and my opponents are wrong to say that there aren't still things going on in Argentina, like the banking issues and the issues there. And they can make a decision that really they have made. But regardless about whether or not we like their decision, they are people who have made a decision that this is what they want to be, and they should be respected. Now my opponents say that Argentina wants it, but Britain wants it, and so do the people there want to be British. So we see that back and forth. So now we're going to move on to what makes something stealing. Now you're stealing when you go into a place where there are already people there, where there's already clear possession, and you take it. And that is what Argentina would be doing by taking this back. They would be taking land that is already there, and they would say, now it's mine. That's stealing, because there's clear ownership right now, which is that this colony is British. There are British people there. And so if Argentina were to go and take it over, then they are in fact making a new colony. That is what they're doing. They are colonizing this area. And if we agree that colonizing is wrong, we see that you can't walk up to something and put a flag on it and say it's yours, then we can't allow that to continue to death. We can't, in this modern world, allow Argentina to like hop on a boat and put a flag there and say it's mine, which is ultimately what Argentina is trying to do. That is, since the people there are British, that if Argentina were to go and to take it over or to claim or retain it, that is what they would be doing. They would be taking. So as we can see here today, this island is British. The people who are there are British. And if Argentina were to take it back, that would be the policy that my opponents don't want, which is a type of colonialism. We can't look to what may have been we must look to what is right now today.
Call upon the proposition of our speaker to close the debate.
Ladies and gentlemen, today we'll talk about the motion. This House believes, by the way, no make this needed, that the fucking balance should be returned to Argentina. Well, basically what we're asking is how do we decide ever which why it exactly does a territory belong to anyone in the first place? On this we have three main questions. First of all, who has the consistent and legitimate colony in this place? Who has the consistent colony that was formed legitimately, not by any kind of forced rule, but because of a logical historical claim. Second of all, who was the first? And third of all, the society, how you should look for them, and are they going to be affected at all? Well, let's begin with the consistency issue. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Britain. In Britain, we came to this island in this point or another later, and they basically formed the colony. Once things got a bit rough, they basically left the colony. Even if today they have a constant colony, those colony was formed illegitimately, as we explained in our second point. They basically seized the option of Argentina being a new country, and by that they have basically conquered the place with source and not actually so kind of legitimate way that regards actual historical claim. As opposed to Argentina, that basically was there during the entire time. They've never left out of their own will. The only times that they have left was when someone basically picked them out with force in an unlegitimate way. And this is basically why the historical claim, in other words, are the Argentinians people to take. Our second question is who was there first? Well, ladies and gentlemen, we do not know who was there first. This clash is basically neutral. As the first opposition speaker has told us, we do not know 100% what exactly happened. So does it mean that we know 100% Britain was there first? No, we do not know that. We do not know this specific detail is the most unclear one among them all, and we cannot decide this clash, so this clash remains neutral. It's not to say that, but it is basically what it is. Let's get restore the main idea of this debate is the citizens issue. This is also a few things. The opposition has claimed throughout this entire debate that the people of Britain, have the right to be Britain. Well, yeah, they have the right to be Britain, but if they're going to make the rational decision, as we explained to you throughout our entire case, ladies and gentlemen, those people have no experience, they have no idea what it's like to be in Spanish. Why shouldn't we just let them have a try? Spain has proven itself again and again. It's a fast developing democracy that actually respects human rights and is nice and stuff. You know, it's not a rational decision because basically they don't know what the other side has to offer. What we do offer them is basically to join the country that has the legitimate historical right for only, which is enough, and I will get to that in a second, and basically has their shot as Argentinian that can also remain the British citizenship and also be Argentinian. Which leads us directly to the second point of this citizen issue. They're not going to be really affected on this at all. It doesn't matter if you have a Spanish neighbor or a British neighbor. What exactly is the difference? As we told you, they can keep their British citizenship. The society is going to remain the same in this area, and nothing is going to be changed. They can still live their life only under a different title. And the last thing we want to put out, even if they are going to be held, and even if they does make the rational decision, it's not good enough like this, but basically it's not as important as what was proven to you before, because Britain, since believe does not have the legitimate right of this area, and Spain does, and it will have Spain more. So today, the main case, I don't know. So, our main case outline was today that, first of all, the historical claim is for Britain, from Algeria, and it is more important than citizenship that are not going to be affected at all. Thank you very much.
Okay, I thank both teams for this great and invite them to cross the floor, shake hands, and then head out for a bit.
We're back inside the water.
So, I think we both have individual feedback if you want to know more. We're just going to give some general comments. But before that, we gave it to side opposition. But in saying that, we were both disappointed in the amount of variation in the content. So the debate really was all about who was there first. And really, you said it, like, they were both kind of, like, not necessarily correct, right? So you said at the beginning, both teams, like, you can't know, it's history, but then you were like, this one was there, and this one was there. So it was, so you guys did it kind of, but it was especially apparent when, like, you said, we can't know history, but the history is England, and it was kind of, I think, trivialized the debate to a point where you weren't talking necessarily about values or about who would benefit from things, and you weren't talking about, like, the modern day implications of giving it to Argentina or the other thing. So it made it so that the debate was very close. That being said, there were some good things that happened in terms of using the prep and things like that. But we both thought that you would have benefited from a little more preparation and a little more knowing the topic so that you would be able to branch out, not necessarily from the one part that you wanted to talk about, rather than talking about all the information. But yeah, if you guys want to hear more about the individual speeches or the cases or anything, I'm sure. Happy to talk to you. Thanks. Thank you.
When's the next round start?
Very soon. It says, what's that? It's over there. Oh, so 6?
That's in 2 hours.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You get a break.
Thank you guys, good job.
Oh no, that would be at 4.
Okay.
4:30. That's the break time.
Oh, we already passed 4:30. Wait, no, we haven't passed.
No, it's just 3:30.
Okay,
So
so
it's about an hour. Yes, definitely. Actually, a lot of it actually. Because, so here's my problem with that question. Because I think you came up with a lot of the right ideas. But it was mostly in the fashion of when you engaged with everything that had so many opportunities and things that said that you're really built the right line of education. So mostly what I didn't talk about is when just talk forced to talk about it, right? So they said, well, Argentina also has these sports and whatever. But and so you went with, well, it doesn't really matter or something. But it's different kinds of force, right? So it's force trying to rethink something that is a geographical region versus forces in like want to take this thing that's not doing anything with it. Something in terms of the prep food that I thought would have been helpful is to know what Argentina was planning on doing should they get it. So the way that worked is they said they would allow you to operate as a province and they could have their own government. The British people could retain their British citizenship because it belonged to Argentina. So that would have helped. Okay, so you said that they were more democratic and things like that. They were going to not necessarily like colonize, but it would have been helpful to see what people
found evidence that showed that England brought back, I found evidence that Portugal had evidence that Spain brought back. So I wasn't sure, like, I don't know.
If it isn't word, it should not.
Yeah, it shouldn't have been.
I also thought that, so under international law, which I think the belongs to Argentina, is less than 200 nautical miles from the region of its coast. So if you if you don't have a piece of people, you can say, well, we think all this does point to the region of Argentina, but even if it's not Argentina, now it definitely is, and they can't do that either, right? So you have modern day international law on you. So that would have helped you. But in terms of speakers, I thought you came up with a lot of really great stuff in the first speech. I was happy with how it was being set up. I think you could have benefited from maybe a stronger opening, just having it like.
That's a complete motion. So the opening unit that we can come up with
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I think the only way that I would have maybe thought about it was to maybe open with the thing they were talking about the history and not being interested in history, but maybe taking lessons. Maybe that would have made more sense. So then, so you had the right orientation, which I was really happy about, but I did think you spent too much time on love history. So you were talking about a lot of the things that did happen, but you didn't need it because you guys were focusing on not the fact that like he was there, so the fact that Britain was like wrong. And then, so your time split was good between it did come today, that's what I was going to say. It was okay when I thought I remember it because that whole thing, and then they changed it for the and you guys are right in saying that you don't trust the law. Just like when you say it. So that was correct. So it's not that you should have said, well, you work like this, but it just mentioned this is how the thing works, so that we had done that, it was fine. So then, second, if you have just so you were talking, that's what I didn't think you had, you were talking about was my problem. So that it was similar to things we had already heard about, which, it wasn't too complicated for that, but I did think you had good responses to your workshop, so that was helpful. I think you did handle the history aspect, because I don't care, it's not something, and you kept that actual, it wasn't different from it was totally different. It was the closest one to almost what you wanted for it. So I don't know if that helps you at all, but like I would say very much because and I'm probably going back to how long we had those stuff. It's just when the engagement on the other side happened, not like so then I loved your video. Okay, so I just want to show that was great. It was cool to have that. So that was where I just wrote different those, how you mentioned how our things by Henry. But for the most part, I liked it because you had the third style. So you did the themes, you organized it. The splits between the themes could have been a little tighter, just giving as much time to it because the split between history and people is really good, and then people and art. So, no. Here's the thing. I like the natural river stuff. I thought you I think that it's technically ours and geographically ours. These resources should be ours. I don't think that's necessarily a bad reason for people to go out. Oh, maybe you're going to go and you're essentially going to drill all the oil. That's bad. Are you going to benefit the people there to get resources, things like that? I think you could have gone with that, and I think you were nervous about sounding like it was going to be colonialism all over again because they bring all your own out, which is fair enough. And then, I really did like it. And then, so I liked your reply better than I liked your question. Even though I did like the judging because I think there was a tone variation during his ideas. You hear 2/3 speeches, and then you get this one, and I heard a lot of them. Like there was a tone differentiation, and you broke it down. Which is not. It's almost. and I want to like say this. Okay, and those are all really the comments that I have for you guys. So yeah, thanks for taking this down. Wait, did you say you want to comment? Yes, okay. I don't know if you were just like, okay, see ya. And then I went off and I started talking. Okay, so, okay, so I said to those guys the same thing. Everybody focused on history much, but it was more of a point for you guys because the only thing that Britain would have is historical, whereas then, under international law, it's geographical. So for you guys, having been history point was good. Like you sort of, when you're not because it's such a like it's kind of like hard to give it too much. So I did decide at the time. I liked the talk about but it could have been developed more in terms of the implication of being because Argentina is quite like to be said, Argentina is quite set. Argentina gets back this whole version. It's not going to be great as they would. So like you said that they wanted to be British, so they should be British, but I think if you guys illustrated more the like tangible parts, it would have been easier for both. You should have said like if Argentina had it's like well, as a result. Yeah, as a result of historical movement. So it's not like they would take the land and say, oh, we're happy to have ownership. Like all British people would essentially have to be like they probably would need to look at this honest. They'd be like, yeah, this is it. So then okay, yeah, so yeah, so what I thought when you got said I can't really do one of them right now. I was really excited because I thought you were going to go and talk about like current stability, water stability, basically the Falklands or like it would be better for the water. And that would have been a good life. So you did to your back of it, which was fine, but like it would have been a lot. And if they're doing this, yeah, I was straight, yeah, that's fair enough. Then, oh yeah, so I wrote down your first thought, I was like, you were so nice, like, you little more Kingsroy, and then as it went on, you were like, much more Kingsroy, so I did it. And then she also said, thank you. Maybe it's just because I'm more aggressive than you, that I'm just like, oh, that was nice of you, like, you don't have to do that, but it was like, you kind of, the first one was very nice, and then the later ones got like, I think a better style in terms of yeah, only because I think necessarily, but if you're getting up on the UI, you seem more confident. As you get hotter, I get like yeah, and that's fair enough. And then oh yeah, so you guys did have a lot of you had more effort, clearly. That was part of the reason why I was going to you guys. But it's nice is you have like historians, you have didn't hear us. Exactly. Yeah, that's what it is basically. And then, oh yeah, and then just like more time between, or more time when each of the teams go. You ended a bit early.
Okay.
Yeah. So like you had more things to say. So just to chime in on things that mostly I did. I thought your sound was really good, and it was a good message. Just a lot of like, just I'm going to refute everything that I could possibly think of right now, and I where to get that a lot of your good job, guys. I didn't mean to sound super harsh, but like you guys know that you're here, so I might as well give you some like constructive things. Thanks, guys. Canada? Yeah.
Canada's same as your English was amazing.
Yeah. This is the first like English speaking like team except for I saw Korea. Like first.
One of them is actually from America. She lived there since she was 10. Canadian teams are really good. There are 3 teams that we lost to.
Oh really?
3 Canada teams.
So you hit 3 Canada teams
Yeah.
here?
Canada Senator, Canada WPGA Pacific,